It wasn't a banner year for bills passing the House and Senate. A relatively low number, 350, somewhere around there, that passed both houses, both chambers. But in those 350 bills, there was plenty that will impact the lives across New Mexico. So here, once again, to help us sort it all out, former Lieutenant Governor Dianne Dennish is back. Former House Republican Whip Daniel Foley is back this week in the throes of March Madness. So too is principal of the Garrity Group PR, Tom Garrity. Always good when he's here. And welcome back to Sophie Martin. She's a regular here, of course, and editor-in-chief at the New Mexico Law Review. Let's start with the budget, guys. Dan, last week I had posed a question. Why can't the governor just line item a few things? It looks like that's her plan all along. So was the budget, just a kind of a poker chip to get to this point for her?
Well, I think, the budget is the hammer. I mean, that's what everybody's there for.
Sure.
Each of the, both years, 60 days and 30 days. So if you're trying to get things done, the budget's the hammer. I mean, it's the thing that everybody knows, no matter what, we'll be coming back for if we don't get it done right. So I think the governor played her hand well in saying, I'm going to utilize the hammer if you don't give me the things I want. I think it turned out to work very well for her.
Lieutenant Governor, let me go to the other side on that. Of course, was the machinations of how the budget came together for the governor, who won here? Who actually won out? Was the Republicans or did Democrats do okay here with this, with the budget?
I think the devil's in the details,
Okay.
and the jury's going to be out on that. The DFA secretary got up and said, this is a great budget, it's going to be revenue positive. The FIR on the bill didn't even come out until 4 days after the session was over. It shows a very negative revenue impact for the state of New Mexico. So I think both the governor and lawmakers will have to answer for that over the long run. So I'm not sure. I think there were some good things, the Breaking Bad bill. Education, I think, took it in the shorts. They really didn't get, they got a 1% pay raise, but they also didn't get enough to cover their fixed cost. And the money,
teachers with that raise.
Plus the money below the line money in education provides for unequal education in New Mexico. And that's another subject, but the fact that there's a lot of money below the line, more than there ever has been, is really, I think, going to be a continuing subject.
Can I ask you to spend just a quick 20 seconds explaining below the line and who that in fact impacts?
Well, they're not recurring costs, so they give the PED secretary some discretion. For instance, now Albuquerque gets some services that JAL will not get. That's what below the line, because they go to various school districts. So the funding formula was intended to correct all of that years ago, but there's been many amendments to the funding formula.
Sure.
So I think it takes us back to the old discussion about how do we redo the funding formula in a way that people aren't always chasing the money.
Sure.
And trying to go after it. So there'll be money in there that the secretary will have discretion over, and a lot of that will have to do with what they think different school districts need, but there'll be other school districts who will feel like.
And that takes some time to tease all that out. It's interesting. So let me ask you a question here. Sure. What seems likely to get vetoed in the budget? Low-performing, district teacher stipends. We've started to nibble at that with the lieutenant governor here. State employee pay raises. We started to talk about that a little bit here. Let's get right to the veto part of this.
I think that the governor. She's already indicated that she's going to be, even with her success with the budget, she's going to be taking a hard look at that. So we can expect to see some line item vetoes in there.
I think there's a substantial amount.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too. I think so too. I was holding back a little bit there. Goodness, I had like a whole list at the top of my go to.
Can I get you to hold that thought too? Because I want to go to Tom on that too. Because it's interesting when you think about who's holding a strong hand here. It all comes down to the governor at this point. Right. So I say again, did Democrats put enough on her desk that they're going to come out with a victory here on the budget part alone?
Well, did they put enough on her desk? I mean, as you stated at the beginning of the show, 350 some odd bills were actually delivered out of, 1,200 total pieces of legislation. I'm not convinced that more legislation is a sign of good work. I think good legislation is a sign of good legislation. As far as how the whole budget deal went down, that's just fascinating. I think, as Lieutenant Governor Dennish has mentioned, the devil's in the details, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But I really like how everything kind of happened at the last minute, as most times it does. But specifically with regards to how it happened, it got unanimous support from all Republicans in the Senate. And it just went right up to the governor's desk. The governor this time last week was saying she's going to veto it. And all of a sudden does a 180 when all of a sudden the tax package that Mimi Stewart had very kind words to say about, really kind of, came out of nowhere. And so I thought that it was really good gamesmanship by the House leadership, by the Senate leadership, and then the governor's office.
Let me go back to you on this, Sophie.
So the biggie, of course, is minimum wage.
Sure.
So the legislature has voted to raise the minimum wage to $8.50, which is a pretty significant jump in this state. The governor had indicated that she was willing to take a 30-cent increase to $7.80.
To match Arizona, I believe.
To match Arizona,
Sure.
that's right. I am not entirely sure in my heart of hearts that she would have ultimately signed that 30-cent increase, but it seems to me that there's no way she's going to sign a full
Yeah,
$8.50.
and I'm real harsh on the whole topic of mandatory increases to minimum wage. I'm all for, I feel that employers need to be held to a standard that they need to pay a fair wage. But mandating what companies need to pay, I just don't think is right. And I do think you're right. That's a bill that is dead on arrival.
Interesting.
It's not going to happen, but it does put the governor in a position of, look at our state. Albuquerque's increasing minimum wage. There's been discussion of Bernalillo County increasing minimum wage. Santa Fe is notorious for
Even
having this,
nationally.
having this higher minimum wage. And so we see the larger voting pockets of the state supporting minimum wage. And here's the governor saying no, and saying no to the parts of the state that are really suffering from low wages. The non-big city, the more rural areas.
Not to get too hung up on this one, I want to ask you a question, Dan, on this because it fascinates me. What would have happened in your view if this governor had in fact gotten her request for the 780?
I think.
Do you think she would have signed it?
I think. Listen, I think that I have yet to see a governor, Governor Richardson, Governor Johnson, Governor Martinez, that publicly goes out and says, I'm for this, that unless there's something crazy that they can articulate very well that says, I said I was for it, but here's the 8 things they tacked onto it, they're going to sign it.
Gotcha.
I think had they sent her $7.80, I think Governor Martinez would have signed it, put us right in line with Arizona. I'm not saying, I'm with Tom, I'm not saying that I agree with it. I think on that issue right there, I think Governor Martinez is the big winner. I think Governor Martinez gets to go around the state and say, I was for raising the minimum wage. I think it counters what Sophie said. She's the one that came forward and said, fine, we'll raise it. We'll raise it to 780. We'll be equal to our partners to the west, which will make us competitive. We'll do it. The Democrats in the legislature said it's all or nothing. And now, because of that, the people in New Mexico aren't getting a raise in minimum wage. They're going to have to depend on city councils, county commissions to piecemeal it. And I think it's going to spin very well for the governor. I think this session, Susana Martinez came out of all of her sessions like a giant rock star. I think that she has fended off opposition in election. I think she's going to be left battling just the Attorney General, and I think that's a cakewalk for Governor Martinez. I think she came out of this, and the Republicans came out of this extremely, extremely well.
Interesting, Lieutenant Governor. Got to swing to you on that one. But I'm fascinated with this minimum wage thing again. Why did Democrats miss an opportunity here? Why not get this governor on the record as a Republican governor in favor in signing a minimum wage increase? Wouldn't that be helpful for Democrats at some point down the road?
Well, they are going to get her on the record. She's going to veto a minimum wage increase to $8.50. And, with all due respect to Dan, 30 cents increase in the minimum wage is not a living wage increase in this state, in New Mexico.
But would it have
and
been
when you look
something
at
to
all
have
the
that
things,
happen?
when you look at all the things that the corporate world got, all the tax cuts that are going to drain revenue, $1 in the minimum wage increase, recirculating, 76% of the people in New Mexico live on the minimum wage. 95,000 kids' parents live on the minimum wage in New Mexico. 30 cents is not going to make that much difference. It's not going to allow them to get health care. It's not going to allow them to get those things.
I think that's the difference between Governor Martinez and people like myself, and I think Lieutenant Governor Dennis and the progressives. They want to throw around the word living wage. Miraculously, $7.80 is not a living wage, but $8.25 is a living wage. I mean, a living wage in New Mexico.
$8.50.
Oh, so that's a living wage. So Lieutenant Governor is on record that if you make $8.50 an hour, you should be fine. That's a living wage.
I hear you, but it's not quite saying that.
He's on the record saying that $7.50 is just enough for New Mexico.
Hold on, guys. We got another thing to get to here, and that is we're dancing around the big omnibus tax bill that passed at the 11th and a half hour. Lieutenant Governor, let me stay with you on this. It was resurrected due to the film tax credit.
Right.
An interesting bit of gamesmanship there, or brinksmanship, if you want to say. Did Democrats counter here properly, or did, again, the governor just flat out win this one by using a very strongly, the film incentive bill as hostage for this situation?
Well, it was a couple things were interesting to me. The week when she said she was vetoing it was because of her social policies.
Sure.
Dan even came up with some concoction about federal not funding corrections last week when we were on the program. None of those things mattered at the end of the day. She didn't mention any of those when she said she would sign it.
Right.
But I think the real thing that's going to be at the doorstep of everybody, the leadership, the Republicans, the Democrats, is the fact that there's people on the floor stating this is going to be a revenue positive bill. And in fact, in the third year, it drains $37 million. The fourth year, $54 million. The fifth year, $80 million comes out.
Unless you believe, as the Republicans appear to, that there will be magic happening.
That's right.
During that period.
Unless the decrease in the corporate. But frankly, those are old, tired mechanisms that are not working for recruiting. We cut taxes in our administration. Everybody said cut that personal tax. It's going to be it's going to be a miracle. It wasn't the miracle that everybody hoped to. And I do want to make one point. Small communities really got hurt when they took out when they're going to phase out.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Tom, speak to that. We're at about a minute on this section, but that idea, Dan referenced it earlier a little bit, that munis are going to have to pick up the slack here for what many are perceiving a giveaway for corporate folks. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, there is always the life of unintended consequences, and it's not just limited to this piece of legislation. Although I think, as a business owner, I like the fact that I'm going to have lower rates, and I think that it will at least help us to level the playing field a little bit. And let's see what happens. If it doesn't work, then let's fix it. But I do think that the counties, municipalities, they're left holding the bag now, and they didn't have a chance to weigh in on the topic. And I think that's probably the biggest issue. What I'm hearing.
Well, I think too, Gene, there's a couple things. One of them is I think the tax package was the biggest victory for Governor Martinez this session. I mean, she clearly was able to show her ability to address the economy. I think more importantly, if the Lieutenant Governor wants to bring up the food tax hold harmless deal, when this was sold to the legislature, it was going to cost the state $30 million. It's now over $150 million. So that FIR was clearly wrong. Governor Martinez inherited a $450 million deficit and fixed it in 1 year without raising taxes. They're giving cities 17 years to address this. 17 years. So it's not like they made this change and said, bam, tomorrow it's going to address your bottom line. They're phasing this out over 17 years. So, I mean, I think when the sky is falling,
so
that this is...
How are we supposed to know the fiscal
Actually, it's a
impact
5-year
of this
phase-in.
over? I thought it was 5 years myself.
It's a total of 17 years.
Okay.
It's a total of 17 years. And what you've got...
Dan, that's just not right. It is not 17 years.
That is exactly the way it works. But what it is...
Quickly, Dan, we're going to have to wrap this.
Well, and I think that when we talk about the job killing stuff, we have Intel that's here that has said that this double sales tax on them is killing them, and we know that what they've done in Chandler, Arizona, pales in comparison to the growth here. They've said this is going to help them. So unlike other folks, I think when companies come to you that are here with a proven record that say do this and we'll respond, you got to help them.
There you go. We're going to take a moment. Hold it, Lieutenant Governor. Sorry, but then we're going to let you all just take a little cleansing breath.
No.
Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, counting down from 5. We're going to. All right, we'll be back in a moment with the stories and strategy behind what didn't pass during this past legislative session.